We are told that a new threat has arisen: white Christian nationalism. But what is it? What does it actually mean? That is our topic for today. So we are told by the mainstream media, and we have the link to the article in the description there for you guys to dive on in. It is rather annoying, I would say, but if you want the references, it is there for you. So let's go ahead and dive on in and find out what this actually means. This is put forth by two professors, one Samuel Perry from the University of Arkansas, and Philip Gorski of Yale University. Okay, now that we know who has put forth these concepts, let's go ahead and sort of merit out and take this apart and pull it apart and find out what the terms are. So, of course, we got white. Well, that's race. In this article, that's not really a requirement. I pulled out, based upon their article that's linked in the description, 13 points that mean you might be a white Christian nationalist. Secondly, of course, Christian, being a follower of Christ, is there, and nationalist. So what is nationalist? Nationalist would be someone who thinks that America is the best nation, period. Absolutely. And do I agree with that? Yeah, I live in America. If I did not believe that America was the best nation in the world, I would not live in America. So that being established, now there is a different definition if you put Christian and nationalism together. It means a Christian who believes that only Christians should be in the nation that he is in, that it should be only Christians, and other races or other religions are either removed altogether or they are second-class citizens. Those don't work. Those have always fallen apart, and it's always been counterproductive to Christianity and even anti-Christian. You're not born into Christianity, you convert to Christianity, and that's the only way Christianity grows. My kids are not born Christian. They get the opportunity to accept Christ, not defaulted in. It's not Islam where you're automatically believed to be a Muslim from birth. You are given a choice in Christianity. So that concept of Christian nationalism really doesn't work. But that's not even the concept they're putting forth in this article. White Christian nationalism, this new arising threat, is completely different. They want to redefine it. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of their key components of this concept. Again, these are people who are from universities. They're supposed to be our intellectual elites. They believe that white Christian nationalists, in their view, is a present and pressing threat to our democracy. Mainstream media is blaming it, and this article also blames white Christian nationalists for the massacre in Buffalo, for January 6th, for the overturn of Roe v. Wade, and Trumpism. So they're throwing all those on this new term. This is a new term that has not been invented beforehand, although they do in this article claim that it has been around for a very long time. In fact, it's been here for decades. So particularly, and this is something that I really want to draw attention to, is they use a lot of religious doctrine phrases that way and redefine it to match what they want it to. They use the term Holy Trinity a lot. The Holy Trinity of white Christian nationalism. There's a real issue with that because once you start redefining it, you sort of classify anyone that says that I believe in the Holy Trinity. Oh, so you must mean white Christian nationalism. There's a threat in that, but I'll dive into that more in the conclusion. They claim that it is freedom, order, and violence. That is the Holy Trinity as they want to define it, which means liberty for people like us, being all straight, white, native born, white Christian men. Order for everyone else, which doesn't meet the racial or gender order. And violence for anyone else outside of that. So, after all, Christianity is known for its violent teachings, such as fight those who do not believe in Allah or in the last days, or who do not consider unlawful what Allah and his messenger have made unlawful, and who do not adopt the religion of truth from those who are given the scriptures, fight until they give jizya willingly while they are humbled. Oh, wait, that was the Quran. Specifically, Quran 9:29. So, no, Christianity is not known for its. Jesus was not known to be a violent, radical individual, but yet they are claiming this. They're claiming that white Christian nationalists have many misunderstandings of American history, such as America being founded on Christian principles. That's a myth that they believe that this group have put out there. And this is a fabrication that they have recently put out there, according to them, within the last couple of decades. That the founding fathers were not Christian. Well, the myth is that the founding fathers were Christians. They believe that founding fathers were not Christians. The myth that the United States was founded in 1776. It was really founded when the first blacks came to America in 1619. So they are saying, no, the history that you've been taught was only perpetuated by the white Christian nationalist industrial complex, such as focus on the family. And they were specifically built to continue and to get these myths out there for everyone to hear. According to the new definition of white Christian nationalists, you might be a white Christian nationalist if you believe in one of these 13 principles found throughout this article. And I'll go ahead and put those forth. You might be a white Christian nationalist if you think that America was founded on Christian principles. If you read the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution, those sort of articles are obviously fabrications from the white Christian nationalist industrial complex. Number two, if you think that America is blessed by God or has some role in God's plan. Not only Christians believe this, most religions believe this. Number three, if you think that the founding fathers were Christians, you read their letters or researched them in any capacity and found out that they were supposedly devout Christians, that again is just propaganda from the white Christian nationalist industrial complex. In fact, those letters are just fabrications because of them. You might be a white Christian nationalist if you believe that socialism is bad. Yep, that's part of it. If you believe socialism is bad in any way, shape, or form, you're a part of it. Number 5, if you think that America was founded in 1776. 6, if you are colorblind, if basically you don't believe race impacts very much and don't judge someone based upon their race, then you might be part of the white Christian nationalism. If you think that America is the greatest nation on earth. 8, if you think walls work. 9, if you think that voter ID is a good idea. 10, if you believe in the Second Amendment. 11, if you support the electoral college. 12, if you question climate change in any way, shape, or form. 13, if you think COVID is not a dire threat to your life currently. If you said yes, you are part of that in any one of those 12 that I've listed, 13 that I've listed out. Oh my goodness, I'm stumbling over myself today. Any one of those 13 that I've listed out, you might be a white Christian nationalist. Note, race was not one of the requirements. So they say that Christian principles end horribly. After all, we can look at such great examples as Turkey and India. After all, they're known to be great Christian nations, right? I love that he points to other religions, nations as examples of how bad and how horrible Christian principles are. White Christian nationalism is such a threat. It is as big of a threat as if there was an asteroid going to strike us tomorrow. And we all need to unite in order to resist this growing threat. So why am I talking about this craziness? Why? Because this is becoming the new boogeyman. This is becoming the next thing that they want to say is the biggest threat. I'll go ahead and open this up to Q&A and talking. Yes, it has a very political slant. Yes. Basically, if you're not of the left, and they use the term repeatedly of being a leftist, then you are part of this group. So anyone who believes any of those 13 principles is part of this group. What really concerns me, if they want to call it white nationalism, whatever, they seem to want to pull a new boogeyman in every 5 seconds. But what really makes me kind of concerned more about this compared to the other attempts they've done is the word Christian. And they're applying Christianity in this. So they are applying this with Christianity, and they're using Christian terms, the Holy Trinity, as part of it. I believe in the triune God. So the Holy Trinity is something that is holy, and they're using this as a political tool. So that's a red flag. Of course, they use the same principles that have been used multiple times by anyone that speaks, saying, well, no, these are the minority. They're just a small group, but they are a threat. They're a danger. And the problem with that is there's not a large step between that, and we need to start restricting their rights because they are an active threat. When you start saying that this group is a threat for X or for Y reasons, you join a group of people that aren't on a very good list. They would not be on Santa Claus's nice list. They would be firmly in the naughty list. Such as Adolf Hitler, who declared that Jews were a threat. They were spreading disease. They were manipulating the finances. And if you look back at every genocide that has happened in the past, this is sort of rhetoric you see. You've got to isolate this group over here, these white Christian nationalists. Well, according to the definition in this article, I would definitely qualify. I would qualify under this. I believe that America does have some God-ordained position. I believe that God has a plan for America. I believe that God has blessed America. I believe that it is founded on Christian principles because I've read way too much. And again, these are coming from two professors who have wrote actually an entire book about how white Christian nationalism is a dire threat to America. And we're starting to hear this more and more from political figures. So that is why this is something to keep an eye on. Because one, they're not requiring race, so they can throw any race in this category. And, out of those 13 points, there really isn't anything dangerous in that. But they're very clearly politically motivated. So whenever you hear that, white Christian nationalism, if it's in the news, if it's in social media, wherever it is, remember those 13 principles. And I'll release a short just outlining those 13 principles, saying, hey, this is, according to their article, this is what it means to be a white Christian nationalist. And I think you will find that that net goes very wide. Okay, there's a couple of things I do want to remind you guys. We are still giving away, wrong side. We're still giving away That Hideous Strength by C.S. Lewis. That is coming out. I think the giveaway ends this Saturday. We will be doing a deep dive in it this coming Sunday. The Christian author Daryl Newton and I will be diving into that together. So if you guys have any questions, leave it in the live chat, and we'll grab those as we continue. As I wrap up here, just leave it open to questions. I have lost my questions marks. No, I haven't. There we go. Ha! Surprising. Earlier, actually just yesterday, I was able to be on Christian Hijab's live stream. If you don't know who she is, I would highly recommend you check her out. She is someone to pay attention to. I really love her ministry and where she is going with it. I think it is absolutely fantastic. So, hey, Kimberly Newton, welcome. And the Cobra in the house. Very nice. And yes, I believe you meant new shirt. Yes, this is a new shirt. I like the polo design. My wife, Ellie, likes it. And there she is. Hello. So, hey, and welcome. As I pulled up before, yes, it's very political. And it's very slanted. But again, you guys can check it out. It is in the description. I wanted to include it so you guys can take a look at it yourself. So transgenders in the military. Well, I have issues with that. You shouldn't be going into the military for in order to get transgender surgery. I don't think you should be going through chemical changes while we are relying on you to do your job, which in the military would be to go out and kick butt and take name. I don't think that you should be taking chemical stimulation and on the taxpayer dollar, because that's what it comes down to. The taxpayer is paying for it. I don't believe that that is the best treatment for someone who is suffering from gender dysphoria. I believe there is enough science to back it up now that it does absolutely nothing. In fact, it makes the situation worse. So, persecution in the future, yes. And I think that this might be indications of where it's going. If they can classify as this subgroup, then they can justify things that would be targeted against white Christian nationalists, which again, if you spread that net wide enough, you could include anyone. There we go. Yeah, so why should we pay for that? Why should the American people pay for that? That doesn't make any sense to me. Why should the taxpayer dollar, and that's what's coming down to, the taxpayer is paying for this, pay for you to go through transition in order for you to be less effective in the fight? Because your body is suffering under that. And if you are a male transitioning to a female, which, let's be honest, it's just cutting things off and giving you chemicals, those chemicals are killing you. Those chemicals are reducing your bone mass. They are causing cancer. It is not a good situation. It's not a good situation for you then to go into the field and to be relied on and to be trusted. Absolutely not a good situation in any way, shape, or form. And I cannot see any reason why the American people should have to pay for that. So, okay. So that's a whole nother political section. And I do have more of that coming out in the shorts. I believe that transgenderism is coming up. I have a whole bunch of shorts lined up, and that's one of them. Talking about shorts, we do have the short poll that's out on my channel. It's under the community tab. And right now, according to what I have seen recently, we have Quran shorts coming up as number one. So that will be the next one to hit, would be the Quran shorts. So I'll be taking a dive into that, and that ought to be fun. Again, there are plenty of verses in there that are rather flavorful, that should be interesting to apply logic to. Again, these are logical shorts, not from a biblical perspective, but just thinking through the logic of these arguments, or in that case, it'd be logic of the Quran as it is presented on its own merits without being reinterpreted. So thank you guys so much for joining us. We're going to go ahead and end in prayer. Lord of heaven and earth, thank you for today. Thank you for your guidance and your blessings as we are looking at this new classification that's coming down, this new political angle they're using to slide people into a category. I pray that your hand will be upon those who follow you. We know how the story ends. We know that there is going to be hardships. You promised us hardships, that this world would persecute us. But in the same way, you promised us that we would see you. And because of our faithfulness, we will be rewarded. Lord, I pray for friend V as he searches for you, and I lift up friend B as he continues with his family. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.